November 21st closed session, November 30th open and closed, and December 8th open and closed with amendments.
All right,
Management has a recommended motion for the board to approve
the landscape, right?
Yes.
That's page 1.
Yes, okay. Management has a recommended motion for the board to approve annual contracts with a landscaper and an arborist not to exceed the budgeted amount of $61,200 to decide whether to stay with the current Four Seasons vendor or choose an alternate landscaping maintenance company, as well as an arborist.
All right, somebody want to move that? All right, Mike,
I'm not quite sure for
Is there a second? We'll go to that. Is there a second on this? Somebody want to second it?
I'll second.
Okay. Jeanette? All right, Jerry.
Does this include both their fees, the arborist fee and the landscaper fee?
We will try, because right now what I'm asking for the limit not to exceed. Should the arborist or additional funds be required, that would be brought in front of the board by next board meeting.
Okay, so you're saying you don't know the cost, but you think this is a good number?
Right, this is the budgeted amount. This number was in the approved budget.
But it's cost us so much more each year.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about $100,000.
Well, the last year, I believe it was reduced.
Several thousand?
It was reduced.
And it was reduced
last
to
year.
Because of local
75,000?
law 11, it was reduced because so much of the area.
Yeah, but we're coming out of local law 11.
Well, not yet, we're not.
Well, Dan, I think you have to reconsider that statement, because if building one, the scaffolding comes down, building one is due to have the grounds restored. And that's gonna be more intensive than just, mowing grass.
May I comment on that? I think that's gonna be.
Well, you're the GM.
I believe that should be part of the total master plan project that would also be brought together, which would include landscaping, new beds, lighting for the whole property. So the big restoration of areas would be considered a capital project and not the base maintenance that we can perform here. I'm requesting to keep our base maintenance.
So our base maintenance right now, just, Dan, I'm sorry, is to mow the upper lawn and to mow the piece below it, and that's it.
Mowing, trimming,
And pick up the leaves.
mulching, pruning. It's a pretty comprehensive plan, but it is basic.
Raking.
All right.
Raking.
Well, that's
Any other
what I was
questions?
thinking.
Detta and then Chris.
I have a question on this motion because it says with a landscaper and arborist, but then it says whether to stay with Four Seasons or choose an alternate landscaping maintenance company. So I'm asking, are we looking into a landscaper or are we looking into a landscaping company? Because in our last meeting, we were thinking about just really hiring an individual to work here full-time instead of a company. And this motion just isn't clarifying to me which you're going to be seeking. Like,
The idea is still on the table, but at this point in the season, with the grass growing, we need to get a maintenance plan in place. We're going to utilize the rest of this year to look into the possibility of hiring a full-time person just for the site. But at this point, that's not feasible to get us started for this season.
Chris.
okay, so no, so I have a follow-up. So then that means the only change is really you're adding an arborist. And we're going to stay with a landscaping company, but we might change companies.
Correct.
So this whole amount, though, that includes both together?
Yeah,
Currently
we
not
need
to
to-
exceed. Should additional funds be required, that could be another motion brought forth to
How
the
much,
board.
how much is this above what we are paying right now just for the landscaping company?
The landscape, this is the amount we were paying the landscaping company, I believe, or close to it, the $61,000.
But do you think you're gonna be able to divide it up differently and have an arborist in there?
Hopefully.
Chris.
But this is the entire, I found out recently that the whole landscaping is on the budget line for the grounds committee. It's not a separate, we don't have separate, the grounds committee has money for anything from seeds, planting to gloves, whatever they want to do with the money. but the entire budget line for the grounds committee covers this contract. And if it comes in at 61, they would have no more funds unless we dispersed it.
I think the line item in the budget was landscaping maintenance. I believe the committee itself may have a separate line item for incidentals.
Well, that's okay. My understanding, I mean, if you want to ask someone to comment who is in the room, but maybe that can clarify. That's my source of information, is the chair of the grounds committee. But I just wanted to be clear that is the landscaping contract on the grounds committee budget line? I guess you're saying not.
No.
No, it's under landscaping maintenance, I believe, is the line
They have
item
their own
in the budget.
Can you clarify anything here?
I clarify.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Right.
Yeah, it used to be, every year, we have the grounds line. That's only one line, including everything, including the annual contract with a landscaping company, and then also other things. But this year, I think the budget line is lower because we think we don't have so much lands to have the Four Seasons or whichever landscaping company to do, so maybe their annual contract can be lower. So I think, if I remember correctly, right now we pay the Four Seasons is about 4,700 each month. So you times 12, it's about 56,000
I
a
believe
year.
so.
It's close to that.
Correct.
Yeah. So I know that 61,000 for annual fee is a little tight, because as I just mentioned, it usually is about 100,000 for the whole ground, really. So we'll see, like you said, if we can pass this one for now, and then you talk with grounds committee and see what's the plan, and then if we need money, and then you can come back to ask for more. So even though the budget line is there, but we always can adjust. Like other budget lines may be lower, and this one is a little higher. And then the other thing is, when you negotiate with a landscaping company, you should tell them that we don't have too much things here.
Right.
So we can
All right.
lower the amount.
Who's next? Anybody else? All right, all in favor? All right, opposed?
Unanimous, thank you.
Unanimous? Okay, great. Next.
Thank you.
Jim Source maintenance contract, right?
Yes, the next recommended motion I have is for the approval of the renewal of the annual maintenance contract with Gym Source in the amount of,
$5,212.94.
Right.
which is the same rate as last year.
Somebody want to move it?
Yeah, I move it, but I
All right,
have a
second.
question.
Second?
Yeah, second.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
All right.
Okay, the last paragraph on the terms of agreement, do we have any of this equipment, the Precor, the Life Fitness, or the Landis units?
Where are you?
I'm reading the
Page
Gym
9.
Source terms of agreement, page 9. It's in the left-hand corner, John, it's not in the right-hand corner of the numbers. They're in the bottom left-hand corner of the page.
What exhibit?
It's Exhibit 3.
Why? Do you think
No, no.
that it's,
I'm just asking because if we have other equipment and they're
I'm
not
not
covering
the
it.
only one in here that uses this place.
John, can you clarify, being the expert on the?
Do you know all the names of the equipment? I don't.
I think everything
Bob,
has to be okay.
Well, didn't the gym committee have some input onto this? There is no more gym
Yeah,
committee.
committee doesn't exist.
No more.
So,
What happened to all our committees?
I don't know, Jim didn't like it, he got rid of it. He incorporated it to some other committee.
He didn't like the chair of that
It
committee.
was part of that raw display of political something.
Well, I would characterize that correctly. That's a good characterization. But John, it says for, this is page 9, left-hand corner it reads.
Okay.
So just, yeah, it's like the front page right up behind Exhibit 3.
Mhm.
All right, now the last paragraph, you see it says, for instance, we do not service Precor, Life Fitness, or Landis units. Now, I can't remember these names.
We don't have it.
We don't have them, right?
All
Okay.
right, so anybody else have questions on this?
We used to have a pre-quote.
Yeah, quick
All in
question. As far as you know, I guess, are we satisfied with the service?
Yes.
Did people complain about
Satisfied with the service?
broken equipment, it's tight?
They're slow.
Part of the maintenance contract is tightening everything up every year to keep
So
it.
you don't have a rash of complaints in the file?
No.
No.
It's not like a one. All right, all in favor? Opposed?
All right.
All right.
Well, we've had to send maintenance people to tighten up some of the machines and other stuff.
Yeah.
They're slow.
You got it. Western Pest, oh yeah, this is the ratification of the approval of the Western Pest.
Is this
That's
the,
Western.
this is the one that we never approved?
Yes,
This is the
correct.
contract that Jerry negotiated?
And you're just
Oh,
ratifying.
good.
You're just ratifying, what was presented.
Thank
So
God.
I move that we ratify the Western Pest, contract
Okay.
signed on whatever date, I don't know.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right.
I have a discussion, yes. When I did this with Weston a couple of months ago, it included, every other Saturday for free.
Who moved this?
And it included all the new rat traps and other stuff. Is that still here?
I didn't see Saturday, every day was Saturday for
The external rat traps, yes. Absolutely.
Right, they wanted $50 for each and we got them for free,
Correct.
part of the contract. And then also every other Saturday, service for free.
I didn't see that in there.
No, I didn't see it either.
It says, I think
That was part of the agreement with them when we
That was-
initially did
page
it.
23, it has the specified service dates and times.
So, Jerry, was it a discussion point, or was it?
They agreed to it, they signed something, you have all the papers in your office.
Yeah.
It should be in that pile, where they, I put in the note that every other Saturday,
Okay.
I think they originally were fighting about doing only 4 hours, but I said that's when people are out on the lawns and everywhere else, we need people around. And so they agreed to maybe 6 hours, I'm not quite sure.
All right, so we'll look into that.
What does that do with the motion now? We still approve
It's
it?
still to ratify what's in place, so the
Yeah.
details of the contract.
Yeah,
we-
right, we gotta make sure we don't, they don't
Right.
drop any of the benefits.
Doug and then Derek.
I just had a question for you guys. Is this contract, in your opinion, competitive as to price and services and so on?
Yeah, so far so good. I think they've been doing a pretty good job addressing our needs. Especially around the garbage area, there seems to be a lot less rodents around our garbage area, so we feel their service has been pretty good.
I must have it though. The other night, we walked-
Can I finish?
Let's stay away from the anecdotes.
No. This, maybe there's not the time to go into this, but this, I look at this contract, it has a number of specific recommendations for us to be doing things that are related to rodent control. Is that, have you looked at those, and is that something that's?
Specifically at this point, no, I can honestly tell you, I haven't looked at the individual recommendations, but we will.
Yeah, okay.
And we'll put in what, we can as the property, to put, some big things
Well,
out.
the contract is written sort of like, we gotta do certain things in order for their services to work.
Correct.
Detta?
Okay, so this is just some history. I mean, I think we have little choice because this contract was signed by our acting general manager in the fall, prior to board approval. But in the past, we had Western Pest and we fired them, and we fired them for a reason, because we had 4 of our 6 buildings had rats in the basement, not just on the premises under them. They weren't taking care of cockroaches. We had a bed bug emergency in a laundry room on a Saturday that they refused to respond to. And they were constantly sending new people to work on our site who weren't trained on our site, and they were just constantly a constant change of personnel. So I'm just saying, they were never supposed to come back here, but like, they did. They're back here now. I'm just saying that was the history, was a very low performance, and that was why we left for, what was the pest eliminations. So I just, companies can change. I'm just saying, we did have significant problems with shareholders complaining about, like, the cockroach, not even being controlling cockroaches, and so, just to keep an eye on all of that.
Larry?
Just, how do we know that they're really doing a good job with the rat control? Because the other night, Tuesday night, after the finance committee, I walked out, I was right outside the door here by the point of the garden that touches the sidewalk,
Yes.
you know? And I was talking to somebody and I turned around and there was this luscious, fat rat that just like looked up at me and said, okay, I'm here. So the question is this, how do we know that they're being successful? This guy was out. He wasn't hiding against the building, he wasn't crawling, he was out. So do we know how to evaluate that?
Honestly, the best method of evaluation, we've been getting feedback is from our staff.
Okay.
Who deals with the garbage, who deals with these areas.
Okay.
And who admits, yes, at times they still see rodents, but it has not been as bad.
All right.
We also know for a fact that Western did increase their treatments in and around those areas. So
it should be.
it seems to
We
be.
have one employee who is supervising.
Do you want to talk to it?
Why?
He is
You wanna
talking to.
I'm talking to the same issue right now. I'm supporting what Russell was saying. Gil Melendez checks him in when he comes in, he checks them out when they leave, he makes sure all the rat traps have been handled and done by them. He also decontaminates the bottom of the garbage area and all the containers, and they spray it all. So yes, there's been much more increased service.
All right, anybody else? All right, all in favor?
No.
Sure.
All
I
right.
should know where they
All in
are.
favor, all in favor,
Yeah.
opposed?
I was just saying.
All right, hey,
Unanimous.
no, that's right.
On a similar vein, recommended motion, move that the board ratify the approval of the Liberty insurance contract, the liability, insurance contract in the amount of $402,802 annually.
That's an old contract, right? That's
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
It's
the
a ratification of what was already in place, I
Don't we
believe in
get the
October.
name of the company?
It's affiliated FM.
Affiliate FM, I believe it's in the material.
It's on page,
All right,
But
so we wanna move it?
Shouldn't that be in the motion?
Sure, we'll do that.
Well, if that's in the,
Put it
I
in
thought
those
we
minutes too.
had this.
Liability insurance contract with the.
Yeah, this is a ratification.
Affiliated.
of the,
Oh,
but it's a ratification of a
So who's
contract
gonna
with
move it?
and it's a renewal, I'll move it again, I'll move it
Technology
again.
Federal.
Yeah.
So who's
Second.
gonna second
Who's
it?
gonna move it?
Chris.
Chris did, second.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Mike.
discussion?
Yeah, what,
Doug? And then, Doug and then Boyd.
okay, what does it mean that we're ratifying an existing contract?
It's because, we did, when Jerry was interim general manager, the contract got signed and it never came to the board, so this is ratification.
He should not have signed it
Yeah.
before coming to the board.
We had a
He
long-standing
signed these
request,
two.
you may have forgotten, that's how long ago it was, but he asked to have these brought to us,
He did this
like
one in
within a month,
September,
and
he
it
did the
took
other
this long.
Anybody else wanna speak to it? All right, all in favor?
No,
This doesn't cover DNO, this is a separate.
No, it's a separate policy.
It's a
than the-
separate policy, DNO is a separate policy.
Yes.
Are you taking account on the vote, or are we
Sorry.
doing
No, I
anything
have a
else?
question.
Sorry,
All
Boyd.
right, one other question though, Ed, a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Fidelity insurance of employee fidelity, that's not covered here either, right?
No, that is not. This is also in reference to the insurance company that's, we may be needing to replace sooner.
Yeah, that's my question. We talked
Yeah,
about
no,
earlier.
that's-
Is that the same one?
Yes.
He's already dropped us.
No.
No, it's a different insurance
This is
company.
the same.
No, it's not this insurance company, it had a different name.
No, it is.
It was technology.
Oh, it was technology, oh, so we didn't use the whole name before, so that's who's dropping us,
It's
technology.
on the paperwork, it says it's affiliated technology, affiliated like Forrester or something, it's like, there's so many words.
Oh, I see, all right, so it could be.
So we're approving it, and now it's broken.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, but, you know, for now, we still need to approve it.
Yeah,
Boyd,
still in effect now.
Boyd,
It is
Yeah.
still in effect.
It's, and the amount is 402,000?
That's the whole year.
For the annual contract, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, just,
All right.
it doesn't matter, we can ratify it, but why I remember we approved it. The board had approved.
Yeah, everything was given to the board in December, and I looked for approval, and as a blanket, they said, let's go ahead and renew it
Yeah.
through RAL, but we never went ahead
Oh,
and ratified it.
the lease, okay.
okay, all in
I
favor?
remember we had that.
All in favor?
Opposed?
But just, is the discussion over?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know why we picked the highest one.
You picked it,
You
this is
picked
just.
it.
This is your contract.
The AFM technology, why did I do it? I don't remember.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Alright. I have one
I mean, it's
last,
not much difference.
No, they
There's not-
cover more.
Okay, that's our vote now.
That's our vote.
We've all voted?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
done.
Yeah.
I have one last recommended motion. Moved that the board approve Hoover's CSR, the FS Energy Division to perform the 2012 filing for the local law 84 in the amount of $375 per building.
Right, somebody wanna move it?
Yeah, I'll move.
Okay, second?
No second.
All right.
Discussion?
Jerry and then Larry.
Okay. Are we looking at apples to apples? Because the technology group that wanted to do our energy savings formula, what we did is, last year they did it for us and they filed for us for 2011. They have all our information for that. Their bid, which is $6,000 or a little bit above this, included all grants and finding of grants and helping us file grants. And that may become important because Cogen is not under the Con Ed grant program since it's a competition, and we would need an outside grant company. And so they were gonna give a lot more. I'm just wondering if you evaluated one against the other.
For
And
this specific
Skylar was
task,
also looking at this.
for this specific task, for compliance for local law 84, yes. This
But
is-
that's nothing. We had that survey done 2 years ago.
It has to be done annually, and it was
No,
done
not annually,
annually.
but there's, you got time until the end of May of
It
next
it
year.
is annually.
It's every May first.
Okay, but you have
And
time.
the previous company was charging $1,000 per building. We're doing it at $375 per
That's
building.
true, but they were giving a lot more, I think.
No, not under this particular service.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. I understand this is a bare bones service, but what Jerry's asking and what I'm asking is, what was this other company giving us? And the value of what they were giving us? And were we getting value for what they were giving us? As adverse to this company, that's gonna do one single thing. Now, if the other company is giving us greater value because we're gonna be using all of the things they have to offer, that might be worth it, because you're talking about $6,000, and maybe we're gonna get back $12,000, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know
this
that.
year we
I'm
got
just saying.
75,000 in grants.
Right.
Where I think this may be a little bit more confusing, there is also local law 87, which has to be done every 5 years, Eris?
Yeah,
Correct me if I'm wrong. That is a more comprehensive evaluation
but
plan.
that involved Cogen and some other stuff,
Right,
yes.
that is where a more value-oriented basis will come in. This is a simple reporting, it's what they did, very simply
Well,
reporting.
we would have to
last
dig
year.
out all the information to give them.
Chris,
No, it's provided from the energy company,
Chris.
from Con Ed, it's your annual usage.
Wasn't last year we had to do, it was a benchmarking. We had to
Yeah.
set
Yeah.
the standard, we had all these reports and energy
That's
costs
what they
and
did,
bills,
yeah.
and that all came in. This is now, we've hit the benchmark, now it's just checking off the boxes on the form. It's an annual filing to see where we're going in terms of a benchmark, are we going up or down?
Correct.
I think we got a lot more done last year, plus we had the 86, 87, what are the numbers?
87.
We did them both. They did 84, 87, and the benchmarking process was like the initial ramp up. It's like we're going with that 16,000 as an initial fee. So that's what I'm saying. They wouldn't charge $1,000 to do it this year. It was a bigger process last year.
Maitri.
Right, but any changes we made in our energy
Whoa,
profile.
whoa,
have to
whoa,
be
whoa,
put in.
whoa, no crosstalk, Maitri, please.
But so I guess, just going back to what Jerry was talking about, are there other grants that we should be looking for that we're not looking for because we're just going to this? Like, is there a piece that we're missing that are we losing an opportunity to get a certain amount of money? So if we
There-
got 25,000 last year, is there something else that we can add to this FF energy so that someone looks into that as well?
There are other possibilities out there. What I'm looking for now is a very limited scope. of
Right,
what
but in
we're doing.
addition.
But there are
to that-
other possibilities to be looked into, yes.
So, we're spending money, so.
Wait, Chris had his hand up.
No, I mean, it's related to that though, specifically. When they came in to give the presentation in '84 though, that was the meeting where it just turned into this huge upsell. And they wanted to do all this evaluation, and they wanted to come in and do an energy audit and see if we can get this and get that, and they were charging, I asked at the meeting,
$100,000 energy
I said at the
audit.
meeting, so, I thought you were reporting on this thing, it sounds like you're selling us services here, and they were, so these things that about, I don't think we're losing out on, anybody will sell us the ability to do audits, look for grants, apply for grants, but it's not included in the thing. It came in and said,
It's not part of this
Yeah.
profile.
Can I?
Go ahead, Jerry, I'll give you mine, and then I'll go after
Jerry.
you.
And
Okay.
then we're gonna vote
What
on
you were
this.
looking at is when they were in here, FS Energy, they came to me and they wanted $350,000, not.
the meeting with the energy people.
Yeah, this is the same people who want to do this,
That wasn't-
want to do the
Francine
energy
Darko.
audit. What?
Associated Renewable.
Yeah. so it's-
Yeah, renewable. Francine,
Darko.
she came in, she wanted $350,000, and based on the fact that a government agency would pay half of it. And so it would cost us $175,000, and I told her, no, there's no way to do it. And what I did is I got in touch with Skylar, and they said, well, they could take all the values and just put it on a sheet and send it in as part of their regular work as our electrical contractor here. And that's where it was left, and I left all the papers for you, I think, with Skylar's idea of looking at it and posting it and for us for this year. Now, if the $375 per building is okay, that's fine, but I think we need to gather a lot of information to give them, and a proper energy audit would include any changes we made over the year, and the light saving, the electric saving, the other benefits of anything we did. And we've also put in for, fans,
Yeah.
for
Can I-
other
can I
stuff,
just
all
say-
sorts of
you can do
improvements that we've gotten
that.
gas.
Done that.
Yes,
This is-
we've done that, but it has to be in the audit.
Okay, we need to, I mean, for a full-on, I think, for a full-on audit with, savings plans and grants and what we went, cogen and lighting and everything, that's something we need to do. But we can't do that now. We have to file by May 1st, right? May 1st, and these are the folks who are gonna file. They're gonna see what we got here. They're gonna, and it's, to file for local 84, and that's it.
But Dan,
right?
this is my problem. If last year we benchmarked, we did the benchmark last year,
Yes.
what are we benchmarking this year?
But you gotta, the same stuff.
This
year's
benchmark.
This year's energy use. That was last year's
Yeah, but
energy
it's not-
use. This is this year's
But-
energy
but you
use.
have to
It
report
falls under
every
the
year.
state local law.
Yeah,
It
but-
still refers to it as that.
It just sounds wacky,
Yeah,
because
right.
you can't benchmark twice, you benchmark
Correct.
one
No.
and compare everything else.
And then the
Here it
ensuing
says-
years, you're reporting the data.
Well,
Correct.
it says annual benchmarking.
Okay, annual benchmark.
So that's the law,
It
okay.
is the
Right.
And then
law.
once
Yeah.
it-
So
Because you're
can we vote
benchmarking
on
against
this?
other buildings.
Can we vote on this? Can we vote on this? All right, all in favor? All right, opposed? Anybody, Larry's opposed, anybody abstaining?
Once every 10 years, we have to do something really
Jeremy?
thorough, right, by law?
How did you
I don't know,
vote?
I'm gonna abstain. I think there's more to it than that, and I just
All
don't
right,
like
good, that's it.
bringing another energy company in.
All right,
This
Chief,
is
Treasurer's report.
first. Oh, my report will be really short.
Jerry, Larry was no.
The Finance Committee met last Tuesday, April 17th. The members reviewed March financial statements generated by CSR's accounting team and noted that there were improvements from the first time they did it, such as year-to-date numbers were included, and that most of the income and expenses lines were added as MHHC's accounting department used to provide. However, there are still areas need to be improved, such as some descriptions of the expense lines and the check registration needs to be in more detail. And then also bank reconciliation and cash flow report, variance analysis. So, trailing 12 report needs to be included in the next month's meeting. So just for your information, shareholders' information, we had a meeting today before the board meeting with CSR's accounting team here. So we talked about all the issues we'd like them to improve. So we agreed on the issues. So next month, in May, Finance Committee meeting, they will give us an improved report. And also, oh, I forgot, the Finance Committee also asked request the CSR either GM to attend our Finance Committee meeting in May. That's it. That's my report.
All right, great.
Anybody want a midnight snack?
Is that what it is?
I'm still serving.
All right, president's report, okay. A few things I want to report, some motions that were, that we moved from closed to open session. We approved change order 23. The wording is, all right, well, and then.
Yes, hold on.
All right.
We have that. The board approves $249,066.40 for change order 23, which is for local law 11 facade repairs and restoration work encompassing replacement of deteriorated windowsills, patching of concrete on balconies, brick rebuilding, balcony roof waterproofing, and drain replacements, which will change the expected completion date by 50 days. This is a capital expense.
Okay, and also just related to that is that the CSR will be working with Brend and CTA, our architect, on solutions that will for expediting the project and moving it along in a way that's satisfactory to the owner. Apartment sales.
The board authorizes the sales and transfer office to advertise available apartments through means such as the New York Times, Trulia, multiple listing service, and also to create an extra page for the MHHC website to offer apartments in the market. This will be for a 3-month trial period at a cost not to exceed $5,000.
Okay, and then, the MRHS, the balcony closure, I guess. Okay, all right. In the meantime, just some other news to report. We have a deal with the owner of apartment NB, which is the apartment next to MRHS. There's a couple things we're waiting on, but essentially, we have a deal with them, so it can go forward, and we'll be able to do that transaction with MRHS so they can expand into that space. It's basically going to increase their space by about 50%. I know people are really happy that this is finally moving forward.
That's wonderful.
We have the apartment sales one?
Yeah.
All right.
No, she has the about.
I mean,
This is
balcony,
about the
yeah.
enclosure. That the board approve the reinstallation of the balcony enclosure for Building 2, Apartment 10A, at an estimated cost of $8,600.
Okay, that's it. That's all I got. Moving on. Systems and structures.
Right.
Yep. That's you.
Who is that?
That's Chris.
Not a Chris.
Chris, remember him?
Okay,
My good lady.
I think we, regardless, have to do the second one first, because that's just not in effect anymore. So I have a board, well, this is under board member motions, can I cheat that in there? The second one at the bottom of the page? Move that the board rescinds the motion passed on January 31, 2012 to have MHHC contract with Saratoga Associates in the preparation of schematic lighting design documents and cost estimates for a cost not to exceed $31,000.
I gladly second that.
Okay. All right, discussion? Yeah. All right, discussion?
And basically, it's not, whatever happens with us, Saratoga, that particular action basically cannot be happening or won't be happening, so. It's just, there's either gonna be a bigger approach or a different approach, it's just not, we're not taking that $31,000 scheme 1 and scheme 2, it should not be offered to them, and I've been told that probably I will have to call them and let them know, on behalf of the, committee and myself, that they should be looking for that work.
Yeah.
Can we vote?
Is there a second?
Yeah.
I seconded it. I gladly seconded it.
All in favor? All in favor?
Wait.
We rescinded the $31,000.
Okay.
All right,
No, it's
opposed?
the second one.
Unanimous.
Yeah, the second one,
All right.
it's a little on the bottom.
Oh,
That was a
okay.
board member motion, so it had to have.
You're not making the
Is
first
that
one.
unanimous?
He is in a second.
We have to do the second one regardless.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what else happens, we're not doing the first one.
Is it unanimous?
Yeah.
I wasn't watching.
Now you're gonna do the first one.
Yes.
Oh,
So,
and you don't need a second, because it's
yes,
from
this is
the
a
committee.
committee motion.
You already seconded.
This is from the committee.
Okay, so I'm not gonna read the paragraph in the front,
Okay.
this is after much discussion. Move that the Systems and Structures Committee recommends that an RFP be prepared at a cost not to exceed $4,000 to solicit proposals for designing an exterior lighting plan at MHHC, developing a realistic budget, and preparing final contract documents. The work covered by the proposal should address at a minimum legal lighting levels, coordination with security cameras, safety and visibility, vegetation preservation, energy efficient methods and materials, and active consultation with the Systems and Structures Committee in conjunction with other relevant committees in order to meet the needs of the corporation.
All right, that's a board member motion, discussion?
No, that's a committee motion.
Committee motion,
That's
I
a-
second it.
Okay,
Who's, I have just a question, who's gonna be, who's gonna prepare the RFP?
We would suggest that Scott would do it, but, it's not it's between management committees, the board, but it's not intended for a particular group, but our feeling was that Scott would do that. And it doesn't require any, particular knowledge of lighting systems about outlining the requirements that we will need and all the elements that should be in the RFP.
I think Jerry,
next,
Jerry.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we
On February 28th, we passed a motion for $2,000 for Skylar to review the Saratoga work. Skylar is now working on that. I've had a meeting with them, and in fact, we were supposed to have a meeting with Russell last Friday, and I sent you, Chris, an email, but I never got a response, so I held off the meeting. Anytime you want to have a meeting with a representative from SNS, with Russell, with Skylar, with Tom, and the reason I include Tom is because he has my lighting book. He has all the plans and the lights and what we were planning to do, following the master plan as much as we can in design concept. And all the things that you mentioned here are things that would be followed in a lighting design. We of course want to enhance the security cameras. We want the walkways all lit up well. And we need to do it, in my mind, just as a matter of urgency. If we started tomorrow, it wouldn't be done until August. If we came to the board to approve special lighting fixtures, it wouldn't be done until November. And so we're into the dark season when all the scaffolding is going to be removed on 4 buildings, and we need lighting around the place. And I don't really want to, well, I have no more to say about it, I'm out of it, but I think it's a bad idea to put up all temporary lighting.
Can I ask management to speak to this?
Yeah, if I may comment on this, I've in a general sense, I've began to take a position on this where I believe a master plan that has been produced in a conceptual way be looked at as a total complete plan where an RFP and a spec can be produced, not as a whole grounds and lighting schematic. I'm not necessarily in favor of separating out the electrical lighting portion without consideration for the whole plan and what the grounds committee may want to do in certain areas. I'm recommending, I think this may have happened, that there's been an ad hoc committee or members from SNS, Long Range Planning, and the grounds committee. The 3 of them get together, work with a landscaping architect, devise a plan for grounds and lighting as a complete concept for the entire Morningside Gardens. I've seen a lot of conceptual drawings from 2001, 2006, and I think the most recent one with Saratoga, where it seems like there's a lot of planning going into it and money going into the planning of it, but nothing ever produced a spec, these type of light fixtures, and it never seemed that everyone was in agreement on how to move forward with it. I think it's imperative everyone agrees on one big master plan and execute it rather than single out components of the master plan.
May I address that? I mean, I think lighting seems to be a very discrete and easy thing to isolate from a master plan. And to the extent that we could adhere to the overall master plan and that we can afford to, why wouldn't that be workable? I like the idea of sticking to the Saratoga Associates master plan because we did pay a lot of money for that. And from what I've seen, it looks like a very nice plan, even though some of it may be too ideal for our budgetary circumstances now.
Well, I think that if you liked the master plan from Saratoga and you want to take it to the next level, do it as a total design and a specification, electrical and grounds included, not just trying to do the electrical as a component piece of it. Here's my way of thinking. To do the grounds and electrical work, there may be conduit runs that may tear up areas and beds of the landscaping. Vice versa, there might be a time and area where landscaping wants to put in a new bed, that there are new conduits that they may disrupt. So I think when it's one plan being merged together, there won't be any overlapping or stepping on toes or that type of scenario.
I disagree with you, Russell. Planting could never disrupt the electrical work that's in the ground. The electrical work has to be dug up. And then the grounds has to come in behind them however they want to do it. Now, that plan doesn't really change the paths except in one place. That's from the top of the upper lawn going down. There's a path that's considered to be in there. But the lighting can be determined that at some future point there will be that path, and lighting or conduit can be put in place so that work can be done. But planting does not disrupt electrical. And if planting does not disrupt electrical, then electrical should go forward, because that's the one that's most disruptive to the entire campus. You've got the most digging, the most laying of concrete, and there's no concrete in the master plan for gardening. And we have a critical time here, a time frame that's really important, and we have to have light. So, yeah, the grounds committee can meet and talk about what they want to do after the lighting, after the guy comes in and tears up building 1 and pulls out the lines so that the lighting, the concrete, the bottoms of the posts can be put in place. And we don't know how many of those they're going to be, because that's determined by lumens, as I remember. The lumen level, because we're going for LCD lighting, I think, and therefore the lumen level might be different than when it was with, for the mercury vapor or whatever.
Yeah.
So I really can't go with your idea. This idea is the one that has to go forward, and we have to get this done.
Okay, I would just like to add that the plan we're working on involves stub-ups. We would put a concrete base with a flange on it, and when we decide on the light and we order it, it just gets bolted here. We would then come along to junctions where we could feed out from the wire from the junctions. Now, much to our credit, we've already run some conduits from Building 80 when we had to do some work with the gas line and the heating line. We put in an extra conduit or two around the site that we could use for lighting. So I don't know really where we are now, but we've got to get the drawings up to date, and we need to determine the lighting level, that it's adequate along all the way we want. We can put the stub-ups while we're working on that.
Absolutely.
The bid process will have the manufacturers recommend what they think would be appropriate. Now, there may be a special requirement from the grounds committee. They may want a flower bed lit up. They may want something decorative done. We're going to ask them to do that right away, so that we can plan on that when we're putting the stub-ups around. That's how simple it is to me.
That's it.
I just want to speak. So, I mean, obviously this is an important project, and having committees involved is important. But the notion, I mean, it's a little management, I think, should be involved in kind of coordinating this. And I'm getting the sense that this is kind of like a been a kind of a committee. It could be committees.
No, we invited management. Management's part of it.
Okay. Well, okay, but let's remember, management directs staff. If committee says, can we work with somebody on this? That's fine. Management directs staff to work on stuff. Okay.
I talked to Russell about using Tom because he's got all my latest information.
Okay. All right. Just a clarification.
And just one more thing. If grounds committee says that we're thinking about a flower bed somewhere after the lighting is done, the fact that they're putting in junction boxes in different places and there's a way to pull lines out is all that's necessary to provide the extra lighting if that's what they want to do. But lighting has to go in separately from everything else, because that's the thing that's most disturbing, and that's the thing that gives us safety here. Without lighting, we're still not in the perfect environment of the safest place in the world, and you will need to have lighting, because the cameras don't work in the dark either.
Yeah, we have to test the Cobra lights, the Cobra conduits, the Cobra cables, and we do that with a mega test and the value of the installation.
Right.
And if not, we can repull
She
it.
and then Chris. Let's vote. And then Doug.
Yeah, I just want to see, this is just RFP, right?
Yeah.
So, but we need the real work done right after the scaffolding is
Right.
done.
Yeah.
Building one.
But that could be done pretty
How long?
fast, the RFP sent out.
Yeah, I just want.
Yeah, they can bolt the
How
lampposts
long?
in there, we're on stub-ups.
It's a short RFP, I guess.
All right. Chris?
So you don't, I wasn't sure if this would be perceived as a redundancy or a conflict. Does this fit in with the work that's going on now?
Yes, and the only thing is, I'm wondering if I have to withdraw the 2,000 we approved before for them,
My understanding
or...
was the 2,000 was just to review the Saratoga and comment on its value.
Well, we're getting more for that. We're getting our drawings updated to show our new conduits and
The
stuff.
key, the thing that's been, I think, a discrepancy is we wanted to part of this is including the idea of knowing what the whole project's gonna cost at the end of the day.
Fine.
So we want to pay, we're gonna ask whoever is gonna be designing, it's a design process still, we're not, I was concerned about, you had sort of this, like every 30 feet sort of thing. I mean, we
No,
still
no,
want
you
someone
can't
to
do
look at
that.
this and give a conceptual, from a designer's point of view, what will it look like at night, And I mean, in lighting, I think, do you guys agree that we really just lost the Cobra heads on the sides of the buildings? I mean, most of the lampposts, it's not our final look and feel, we don't want it. But we haven't really lost a lot of lighting fixtures. When the
Not yet.
scaffolding comes
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, so we have conduit around all the plan.
All right, and then Doug.
I have a question, Russell. The comment you just made about integrating the electrical and lighting work with the grounds considerations, what does that mean in terms of this proposed motion?
That would be my recommendation not to approve this motion because it's singling out just the electrical portion and not considering it the grounds, the master plan, redoing of the entire grounds.
So you think that we should expand this RFP to include the
Grounds
what's
and
gonna be
electrical
done?
work, correct. Achieving what you want to achieve from the Saratoga's master plan. That's where you want to go. I don't think it's the best way to go there in pieces and components for this area, that area, and this area. Do it as one big plan, a whole lighting plan, and then a whole landscaping plan following up right behind it.
Maitri?
And then to follow up on Jack's question, so if we did go with that, what do you think the timeframe would be from the?
I think it would be, I don't know, because it would really take to sit down with a landscaping architect. It would take a lot.
It'd be at least $4 million
How
because
many
that's
votes
what's
would you
left.
have?
It may.
There's a question, can I just, the big issue is like, once the scaffolding is done, which is, as of now, it's the end of July, I mean, the sidewalk shuts it down.
On
End of
building
July.
one.
I'm building.
No respect, just around building one.
Right, the
Yeah.
building one is July, we think. But is that, I know there's concern that obviously getting light into that area, is that, do we have to have like the thing, the ultimate design there, or is there,
No.
do we have something that can light up the area in the meantime until we do the, more
Some
comprehensive-
Cobra heads may be rehung on the side of
That would
building
be
one.
terrible.
Or another type of simple spotlight can be installed in the area. So it's not that we won't be without lighting. We could easily facilitate lighting in the area with what we currently have at nominal cost.
And if we had an Irene in August, that'd all come down.
That's right, that's number one, but number two, you don't want to rehang the cobras on the side of the building when they're having the building pointed so that it's weatherproofed and the holes are closed up. The lines for these lights are not gonna go through the building any longer, they're gonna go from the ground out, under the ground, out to the
Right.
spot they have to go to. So I don't wanna ever think about rehanging Cobra lights in any way that's temporary, and temporary lights are dangerous because if we do have a hurricane in August while we're doing this work, we will have a disaster, and that's not good either. Lighting must be done first. Grounds can follow up behind, they can take all the time they want in planning, but the lighting must be done, period.
All right, are we ready to vote?
Chris has.
Okay, what is the vote? What is the motion?
Read the motion, Chris.
This is still intact.
Yeah,
Right,
that
the-
motion
the
is
idea
back.
is-
Okay,
First of all, I understand the idea of wanting to have it all, what we had the motion from, the grounds committee to do a planting plan per se. And I think, as far as specific to vegetation, to shade, tell us, here's a shady spot or rocky spot, and get the appropriate plants in. Whenever we move into that area, we will know what to go where. And I sort of see that as the vegetation component. I understand it's not a comprehensive look and feel of the whole place, but I sort of feel like the planting, and I don't mean to say it's ancillary, I mean, it's a
It's
big
not
part of the
ancillary, it's a
view,
big thing.
and it's a part of what people coming here for. I'm not so much talking to you, but I think we can do this, and as long as we're in full communication with all these groups, which we've been lacking, I think, we can cover those planting issues. That's my.
Right, I agree with you, the planting,
Right.
she's gotta think about it, and we need to keep them
All
up
right,
to
we're ready to
date.
vote, all in favor? All in favor? All right,
Yes.
opposed? Abstain? All right.
Did you abstain or oppose?
Okay,
One more motion, open session.
All right, what we got? Yours?
Yep.
All right.
Pursuant to bylaws, Article 2, Section 8C, appointment of inspectors. That in advance of any stockholders meeting, inspectors of an election may be appointed in advance of such a meeting by the Board of Directors. The President shall advise all of the candidates that they may appoint up to 2 persons to serve as inspectors. However, if 2 are appointed by a candidate, only 1 will be permitted to participate at any time. The selected inspectors will fully observe the election process and participate with the Elections Committee while not interfering with the Elections Committee mandate as outlined in the bylaws, Article 2, Section 9, Functions of Elections Committee, and all relevant past practices. The inspectors will be expected to take the Morningside oath requiring them to execute their duties with strict impartiality and according to the best of his/her abilities. They are expected to not divulge to anyone any information that he may learn regarding the vote of any particular shareholder, and all such information shall be kept confidential. All irregularities noted will be brought to the attention of the President as soon as possible. Therefore, the Board approves this resolution and calls it into effect for this election being held on May 8th, 2012. If there's a second, I'll speak to it.
Second.
Okay. This motion is no different than what has occurred in the last 2 annual meetings.
That's my question. Is there anything different?
No, it's exactly word for word, because Donna took it right out of last year's
That's
motion.
what was equivalent. I have a question.
Wait, before your question, I'd like to move to have this put into closed session. Second, okay. Reason for putting this, I want to put this in the closed session is because the issues involve specific shareholders, or could, the
There's not a
discussion,
name
the
mentioned.
discussion could go to different to specific shareholders, and I don't think that's appropriate to do in open session.
There's no
We could
reason
also
to-
go, we could also go into specific issues regarding possible irregularities in the election, which I don't think, necessarily have to, should be discussed in open session at this,
You'll have an attorney with you.
So that's my motion. There's a
But
second.
it's totally inappropriate.
Why are you speaking to it? If you want to speak, okay. Do you want to speak to
Discussion.
that?
I wanted to speak to his motion.
No, you have
Right
to,
now,
Dan
you can speak
needs to
Oh,
do
it's-
this
Wait,
first.
you
Well,
know
it
what?
has to do
Wait,
with
Dan can't
what
make a
would be
motion when a
considered-
motion's on the floor. He can't.
Actually, you are out of order.
Yeah,
Because you
can't
cannot
one.
make a motion to move in a closed session once I've made a motion
He
that's been
made it
seconded.
already.
It
I
has
have
to
a
go
real
forward.
simple question.
Yeah.
I'm listed for, Dan and I are listed on the proxy ballot.
Right.
Should that motion say both our names here? Also, if there's a difficulty or dispute, since we're both going to be
No.
here to reaffirm and make sure the proxies
The
are
president-
delivered to the right
The
place.
President, in the past, I'm just saying what happened in the past. The President has always been the one to have it reported to, and the President has counsel there that night, who I'm sure will be able to advise him of anything that has to be done. So it's not that you don't both have your names on it, but the President is the one that has to be reported to, and that's the way it's been done for the last 2
Well,
years.
yeah, that's the way it was done last year.
It was done when you were president, it
Right.
was done when Glenn was president, and now it should be done when Dan is president. In
We're
turn-
trying to.
I'll withdraw the motion to put it into closed.
And I don't want to discuss anybody. All I want to do is get this motion discussed, and let's do it.
All right, is there anybody else who wants to speak to this motion?
Doug.
And then Doug and then Jeanette.
Okay, but the only thing I want to say is, I have some letters for you from some of the candidates asking that we do this, so I'm just gonna give them to you. And there's enough for everybody if you want to pass them out. It's addressed to you, just asking that we appoint observers.
They're in favor of doing this.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So there's
Four of the
enough
candidates
copies.
are saying this. Okay, we have the elections committee chair here. I like that since this is their election that they're running. You wanna just? I mean, I think we owe it to the.
No.
No.
No,
I think we are.
she has no place at this table for this
I
motion.
would like to know how this impacts the proper running of our election.
It's right here in writing.
I
It
would
says
like to know-
exactly, she's never done it before. Listen, she's never done it before. It's been handled before by 2 other chairs of this committee. There's nothing to discuss. We're telling them they have to have
Larry,
inspectors.
this is something to discuss. You put a motion on the table, it's something to
But
discuss.
she's not gonna
I'm
be
asking
discussed.
the person who's in
You-
charge of our
you're
election.
Totally
Come-
inappropriate. This is a board motion
Okay.
that's here for us to discuss. She is
Allison,
not
you come
part
to
of
the
my
table.
motion.
Allison, I'm asking Allison to come to the table.
Allison,
that's
you
what
wanna come in?
they're making, what he wants.
Of course I
This
wanna
is
give
my
them the
motion.
chance to make
Of course you
informed
want to break
judgment.
all procedures.
Allison, can you speak to this? You wanna-
The elections committee does not have a problem with this motion being passed this year as is.
Okay.
The elections committee, it's worth saying that this year, the overriding goal is for a just, fair, and transparent election.
All right, anybody else? Chris?
Well, this always comes up, and this obviously it's been coming up for the past 3 years, and we don't, I assume it's about wanting to have, you know, everyone's on the up and up, they're all, it's about distrust essentially. And we don't, I don't know, I would say, it sounds like we don't have any particular controls in place for, not particular, there are a lack of controls in terms of, you know, how the room's set up, who's in there, what, you know, can you carry stuff in? I don't know if we're gonna add more people into the room, what rules does anybody follow aside from swearing an oath? You know, it's like, it's a question, we're gonna trust, let's.
Well, I'd like to speak to that.
Okay, should we be? I would say, and Allison, Allison, no.
She's not, I mean, I'm not prepared to address the board. but there's certainly a lot of rules.
Sorry, I would like to, excuse me, hang on. Let me preamble that. I have faith in the elections committee as it's structured with their clerk system to do this correctly. So I'm sorry if it sounded like I was totally running you through. I think that I didn't like adding people into the room, adding people into the mix. This seems to be inviting more issues, more potential problems. We don't. It's like it's just ongoing. We're adding more bodies, more unknowns. It's I haven't liked it, and I still don't like it. And I want the election committee to do their work.
This came up specifically because of a letter that I wrote a couple of years ago. I'm not going to go into the specifics, but our lawyer recommended that this is the procedure that we use. Our lawyer. And that's the procedure we've used the last 2 years, and we should use it now.
Jerry?
Yeah, I just want to point out there is one other alternative, and we talked about it last year or the year before, and that was using the Honest Ballot Association to supervise if you were worried about all this inflow and outflow. That's an option. I don't recommend it. This is fine with me. It does exist.
Jeanette?
I kind of like the idea of Jerry's suggestion, I mean, though you don't support it. If we keep having these additional inspectors appointed, this is the third year in a row, clearly there's no confidence in the system as it's structured now. And it just seems like, look, if you're questioning the integrity of the process and the results, maybe we should have like an outside specialist come in and just an impartial specialist, not inspectors, not people who are from Morningside who may have a vested interest in the outcome, since that seems to be the concern. Let's have an impartial outside third party come in and at least monitor the election, maybe even conduct the election depending on the cost.
Honest Ballot would conduct the election, they wouldn't monitor it, they would conduct it.
I think
That's
they
their
monitor it.
job.
I think they monitor it.
No, they'll actually count the ballots.
Oh, no, it's me. And then, okay.
But then you still can have inspectors of election.
They could have the same inspectors. This motion is still viable.
I support the spirit of this motion, which is basically because, you know, I mean, I think there's concerns about the integrity of this election. There are, if you walk through the process of some of the ballot, of some of the points in this ballot election process, there are holes in it. There are things that could, that if somebody wanted to act, poorly, that they could, that they could do something. That is why I think you wanted to put inspectors in place. But inspectors are basically volunteers, and they're also partisans, okay? You're asking this one to appoint it, you're asking this one to appoint it. So basically now you have partisans in the room, more partisans in the room, who, I mean, ideally you're saying are trying to keep this in check because they're both partisans. Like you have you've got Democratic poll watchers and Republican poll watchers. But it doesn't
You did that for Shelley.
I did.
That's right.
But it's not, but that doesn't speak though to potential real problems that that could go on with the election, and whether it's on this ballot or some other measures that we might want to take that could also, I think, maybe give, that could, maybe instill some more trust in the system. And it's unfortunate, that we're reaching this point where we don't trust it. But if we're gonna not trust it, and we're not trusting, and there's other things we should do, maybe there's other things we should be doing about that also. I would think, I mean, basically you've got an issue where it's all about the ballots. These are paper ballots, right? Paper ballots.
Chads and unchads.
There's no chance. It's a paper ballot, it's put into an envelope, it's signed by the sheriff.
Right, and then it's opened up in this room, and it's put in a pile.
No, first it should be counted before it's opened up.
And
It's
and I'm sorry, but the election, the counting the ballots is conducted the same night or the next
No.
day?
Over a
It's
course of
counted over
several
3-4
days.
days.
That's what the shift on and people are signing up for?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just the next thing.
And management collects all of them for.
Well,
Matter of fact, I think the ballot box is in the office. That was it.
You need to get a quorum. You get a quorum.
And it's
So,
locked.
right, so there are some, probably that,
Instructions go.
and if you're gonna look for the weak point, okay, I'm gonna say it, if you're gonna look for the weak point in this process, it is in that room with those partisans where you've got ballots.
No.
You've got, yes, it is.
No, the weak part actually is the night of the annual meeting, because that's the night that people can walk in and ask for ballots, and more than one ballot can be given out. And that's why you have people watching there and watching in here, that the ballots are counted. Now I know you're making this wonderful speech, Dan, but the truth is, without poll watchers in the room, since the candidates will not be in the room, without the poll watchers in the room, anything that looks wrong could never be reported to anybody, because there's nobody in the room to say, I think that's wrong, and I'm going to tell Dan about it, because he should know. And then he's got to talk to the president, to the attorney, to find out what to do. But you want to take the eyes out because you think that says something bad about the chairman of the committee or the elections committee. This is not about them. This is about the vote. It's just about people watching to make sure the vote is done right, Dan.
Larry, that is the role of the elections committee, they do monitor it, they do look.
Things happen
Oh,
every...
Yeah.
Maitri?
I mean, that's their role, and they're monitoring the different tables, as the chair of the committee who's monitoring it. I think it's not.
And there'll be people watching those people to make sure that it's done right. And that's correct, that's the way it should be, that's why there's poll watchers, inspectors.
Data?
When you look at it, you can say everybody is a volunteer and everybody is partisan, because each election committee member probably has an opinion about who they want, and they're a volunteer. Each person who signs up to count, they probably have an opinion about who they want to win, and they are a volunteer. So the poll watchers are no different than anyone else in the process. It's worked very well the last 2 years. We've heard from the elections committee saying that they don't have a problem with this. Jeanette is right, we need to change our whole process, but it's too late to do that right now. I mean, changing the process involves changing the bylaws, because the bylaws are partly the problem, because they specify a lot of these responsibilities have to be in the elections committee. So we can't just take it out and give it to some outside company, even if we want to allocate the money. So Dan is right in that, we need to some board needs to get started changing the bylaws. And, but I think at this point, this is what's in front of us. This is the best solution right now.
Anybody else?
Can we vote?
I would,
I was,
oh, Jerry?
Did you have one?
Jerry and then she.
No, I have one.
I just wanted to say that last year when I was president, I went through the election process with the chair of the election committee to make sure that if I could see anything that could be wrong or have a problem, we did have a challenge. We were able to effectively get rid of the challenge during the summer because we had backup ballots, we had them signed. The system, as I saw it, had no real flaw in it. I would be very, very happy to do it even without inspectors, but there is that level of trust that nobody will believe the election if we don't have the inspectors. So I don't know what to do about it, but I do also think that it is every member of this board, if they see something wrong with the election process, should report it and should have it fixed. They should be really an agenda for getting this thing up to snuff. That's all our duty. Our duty is not just to come to board meetings, but to see what's happening, to monitor everything on the site, to see the performance of the management team, to see everything, and to report it, and to talk about it, and get it fixed.
I'd like to propose a friendly amendment that, that during the ballot counting process, that security be posted inside the room, and that
You say, you mean public safety?
public safety be posted inside the room, and that no handbags or other items may be brought into the room.
You're gonna have a problem you may have a problem with where to store them if they come down with them from their apartment stand. I don't know, if you have security, public safety in the, then you gotta have a checking procedure. If you have public safety in the room, then you can say, I need you to put all the bags on one side, not go into another room, but just put them over here, like have a bin or something, where it's in the room with the person.
How about that the security be authorized to be in the room, and that the elections committee, take all appropriate measures to, to monitor the, all persons, county
Personal
ballots.
effects.
But no, he said two different things.
The elections committee take all appropriate measures to monitor, to monitor the personnel in the room during the county.
Isn't that exactly what you were against about it? Getting the election committee all upset about not trusting them? Now you're gonna put guards on top of the boundaries, everything else? Why doesn't the board also sit around and
And I thought the security people would have watched.
First of all, here's the thing. We've done this 2 years in a row. We've never had a problem with public safety, that we needed public safety to take care of a dispute.
It's not to take care, it's to
You know what, why don't you make that as a separate motion, because it doesn't have to be part of the observers. You can make a separate motion to have security in the room.
Yeah, this notion is the way it's been done, just the way the lawyers recommended it. There's nothing new here. I didn't try to reinvent it. This is the way it is.
just, it's all about the integrity of the election. So you're speaking to this, and I'm speaking to the overall, right?
Well, I just know it's been done twice before, and there hasn't been a problem.
All right. Is that a no?
Can we call the
So
question?
he's not gonna accept your friendly
No,
amendment.
I think that's kind of clear, right?
Can we call the question?
All right, call the question, all in favor?
This is of any
Of the-
discussion.
No,
Well,
no, this is for the motion.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
because
would-
usually when someone calls the question, we
I
vote
asked
to
the
end
All right,
discussion.
all right, all in favor of the motion?
All in favor?
Now
of
we're doing the
motion?
motion, all right.
All right.
I have to get names, I'm
All
sorry.
right. Taking names and license plates, right?
All Simmons.
Name, rank, and serial number?
And the Donna, what the Donna? Singh, Vistaya,
Chief.
Chi, Carter, Lowry, Tenenbaum. Well, oh, it would have been easy to count that.
Opposed?
I think just
He
one.
has to abstain. He's-
Oh, you abstain?
Opposed or abstained?
I think offered the chance to put an inspection, actually, you want to vote for or against it.
Are you gonna vote against?
Yes.
Oh, he's voting against.
Okay, well, one no.
So you're not gonna put any inspectors in, right?
Burr,
No, I just voting against the
and
motion.
one abstention.
But see, that
It's
makes
like
it
the-
ridiculous.
No, it doesn't.
All right,
In
what's
principle, once the rule is there, I can abide by it.
Now,
Now, are you gonna propose another motion about this?
I thought we're going back now into closed session, isn't that true? Can we have a 5-minute break?
No.
Would that be?
No.
All right. All right,
It's
all right, I'm crossing my ankles and I'm hoping for the best. Marjorie, I'm hoping for the best, it's your fault.
Because it's open session.
I don't wanna be, I wanna be here for you.
Just take sandwiches for tomorrow if anyone wants them.
What are we gonna do?
They adjust that totally wrong. I support, I would be happy to have you do your job. I wrote into that.
We also had a brief meeting with accounting people and, they didn't yes, it was a dual.
Interesting.